and this is Logan out on another walk in the countryside. Now today we're in Dorset, at the pretty little village of Cerne Abbas, about 8 miles or so north of Dorchester. And we'll be doing a 4-mile circular route, starting and finishing in the village, and we'll be heading north to have a look at the Cerne Abbas Giant, and we're hopefully going to come across some stunning views across the valley, and then we'll have a little look at the very pretty little hamlet of Up Cerne. So do join us. Well, we're going to start our walk at the pretty little St Augustine well near the churchyard in Cerne Abbas. Let me show you, turning round here. Now the legend is that St Augustine once visited Dorset, and he met shepherds who were grazing their flocks here and asked them if they preferred beer or water. Well, they asked for water, and so he struck the ground with his staff, crying Cerno El, and water gushed out. It was a pun on the word Cerne, which is the old name of the village. I must admit, I probably would have asked for the beer, but there we go. In truth, the story may have been invented by monks to attract pilgrims. St Edwald, who was a member of the Mercian royal family, built a small hermitage here until his death in 1871. But isn't this? The water is so clear. It really is quite pretty. And there are lots of superstitions. Apparently if you drink the water it can cure infertility. And if you come here on Easter Day and look over your shoulder, you will see reflected in the water the faces of those that will die that year. Isn't that quite exquisite? Oh, what a lovely little well. Well, we're going to make our way uphill now towards the hill to see the Cerne Abbas Giant. Now while we're doing that, I'm going to put up a little clip, about 2 minutes or so, of some photos that I took of the village itself, with a little bit of commentary, just to give you a little bit of background of the place. So I'll put that on now, and we'll see you shortly. Well, Cerne Abbas lies to the east of the A352, which is a main road that travels north from Weymouth. The village grew up around an abbey that was founded here in 987, and for more than 500 years the abbey dominated the area. The Cerne Abbas became a small market town with wealth generated from a thriving brewing industry. The underground water and water from the river Cerne that passes through the village made good quality beer. And at one stage there were 14 pubs here, even though the local population was just 1,400 people. But these days there are just 3 pubs remaining. There were small milling, tanning and silkweaving industries here, but the coming of the railways bypassed Cerne Abbas and it went into decline. St Mary's Church was built by the abbey for the parish in the late 13th century. It was rebuilt in the 15th and 16th centuries and then reconstructed in the 17th century. And close to the church is a lovely old 16th century building called the Pitch Market, where farmers displayed their corn sacks on market day. And just by the side of the church is a well-preserved set of stocks. Now, following the dissolution of monasteries by Henry VIII in 1539, much of the abbey was destroyed, but the abbot's house still survives. It's a private home now. And for a small donation of just £2, you can still explore what's left of the abbey. The abbey guest house is still here and used today. And the impressive abbot's porch is also here, just to the north of the site, sitting in some quite beautiful gardens. And just inside the abbot's porch there's a set of 6 information boards giving you some in-depth history of the abbey and the village. We're now making our way uphill. Had a little stop for a breather. And fortunately we've got some steps here. I'll just show you where we're going. There's a little signpost, and there's some very helpful steps that are going to take us up to the the foot of Giant Hill. Apologise for puffing away, still unfit. Whew. Well, finally made it up to the foot of Giant Hill, and if I just show you, there's a little sign, National Trust sign, and that tells us that the best view of him is on the other side of the valley. I'll probably only see his foot from here, but not to worry, because we will be going on the other side of the valley, so we will see him. But what I'll do is I'll put a couple of photos up now, and then I'll tell you a little bit about him, because, well, there are lots of different theories about his origins. Some say it was created by ancient Britain some 2,000 years ago, and as a contemporary of another great hill carving in southern England, the Longman of Wilmington in Sussex. And the so-called ancient Britons were part of a far-flung Celtic world that stretched from the Black Sea to Ireland. And one of the important gods of the Celts was Nodens, god of fertility and healing. And Celtic artists often portrayed Nodens as a naked man, gigantically proportioned, surrounded by a symbolic object such as a club. But another theory is that it was the Romans that put it up. Some suggest it was carved by them, and it represents the demigod Hercules, who is often shown with a club in one hand and a cloak or skin draped over the other arm. And in fact, some recent investigations do suggest that there may have been such a cloak showing in the past. And there is another theory, but a little bit more recent. The thing is, in a detailed survey of the area in 1617, there was no mention of the giant. Indeed, the earliest written reference was on the 4th of November 1694, and basically there's no documentary evidence to suggest it was ever made before the 17th century. So it may have been carved in the 17th century around the time of the English Civil War by servants of a chap called Denzil Holles. I think that's how you say his name. He was lord of the manor here, very much as a parody of Oliver Cromwell, who he despised. Well, if that was the true story, he obviously didn't like Oliver Cromwell very much. So, 3 theories there. I'll let you decide. So we're going to carry along the side of the valley, heading north, and hopefully we're going to have some wonderful views as well. Wow, we've got some quite stunning views across the valley. That's the outskirts of Cerne Abbas over there, and this is looking west. Absolutely gorgeous, and just enjoying walking along this little chalk path right up against quite a steep hill. It's a beautiful spring day, sun's coming out, temperature just spot on. Oh, a lovely sight of the yellow cowslips still showing through, clinging to the side of the hill. Very much a feature, of course, of Chalkland sort of scenery, as it were. Oh, I keep looking back over this view. There's hardly a cloud in the sky. I know sometimes views don't always come across that great on a GoPro, but you'll have to take my word for it. It's going to be one of those walks. Still making my way uphill, enjoying these wonderful views, and over in the very, very far distance, that's Up Cerne, and there's a lovely lake which we will be able to see later on. And very shortly we're going to be joining the Wessex Way, which is a 58-mile trail walk from Tollard Royal in the sort of Dorset, Wiltshire border to just north of Lyme Regis. Hooray! I made it to the top, and there really are some stunning views from up here. Right, I'm going to catch our breath back, and then we're going to carry along the yeah, it is the Wessex Ridgeway, as I said earlier on, carrying on north along the top of the ridge before heading down into the valley. Well, I could stay here for some time. Well, this is about as far north as we're going to go along the ridge. We're now going to head downhill and head for that farmhouse in the far distance. That's Minterne Parva. Just checking, there are some cows in this field, but they're quite a way in the distance. Obviously Logan's on a lead anyway. Right, let's go. Well, we're now just passing through Minterne Parva Farm. Those lovely old buildings, old stables by the looks of things. And then, interesting, this building on the right, I mean, could be a grain store, but I was reading somewhere that it might possibly be an old cockfighting pit. I have seen photos on the internet of old cockfighting pits, and that certainly does look like one, so maybe it is. Gosh, unusual object. Now this looks like when we were in the churchyard, there was a very well preserved preaching cross that looked a bit like this. I wonder if this is another one. Could be. I'll have to check when I get back. Well, I can hear a little stream flowing. I think it's just, oh, here we go. I say a stream, I think this is actually the River Cerne, which is 10 miles long and goes from Minterne Magna in the north to join the River Frome at Dorchester. But look at these, just to the side of it, these 4 slate posts, and they've got wording carved on the side of and I think these relate to 4 local fields that were found on an old 1728 map. And this sculpture, for want of a better word, was created by Rachel Jackson. Well, we've made our way across the A352 and heading west towards Up Cerne, where there's a terrific 17th century manor house. As we do, we're coming down this little road with a row of magnificent beech trees alongside. That looks as though that one's been pollarded. And then in the distance we get this great view of the lake, or lakes at Up Cerne. They're artificial, created as fish ponds by the owners of the manor to provide recreational fishing for themselves and guests, as well as being a ready source of food. Quite beautiful. So we're going to head down here Up Cerne's not very big, but it does have some lovely thatched houses. You describe it as a hamlet, but oh, what a terrific setting. What a gorgeous little hamlet. There's a row of thatched cottages. I'm guessing that these would have possibly been centred around the old manor house. Everything's so perfectly laid out. The hedge is nicely cut. And what's it? Corner cottage. Very appropriate. And then just to the left here will be the entrance to the manor house, which of course is private. Lovely stream, crystal clear, a typical chalkland stream with a little gravel bottom, quite beautiful, and a cute little bus stop or bus shelter. And here we are on my left, Up Cerne Manor and church to the left of it. A manor was built in the 17th century from stone from the ruins of Cerne Abbey, but much of the interior was destroyed by fire in the 1800s, and I think it might have been owned by Sir Walter Raleigh at one time. And then just over there, the church is stone and flint of Norman design, but it was actually built in the 15th century. The chancel dates back to the 16th century, and most of the church and tower was rebuilt in 1870, but I believe it's now a private chapel. Ah, lovely sight. Field full of sheep. Lots of lambs with their mummies. That's not a sign of spring. I'm pleased to say that you're fully under control, aren't you? We didn't have to go into that field, I'm pleased to say. Right, we're now going to head across this field, and although there is a public footpath that takes us back to Cerne Abbas. Well, we've made our way back to Cerne Abbas, and sure enough, now that we're on the western side of the A352, you do get a much better view of the Giant. And there he is up there on the hill. He's 180 foot high and 150 foot wide. He's created by 5 foot wide trenches cut out to a depth of between 2 and 3 foot. Oh, and the bit you're dying to know, that's 36 foot long. He's a big boy. And it's re-chalked every 25 years or so. It was covered up in World War II. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up or a like and a comment. And if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. That way, hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk sometime in the future. We've had a lovely walk today. So from me, from Logan, and our friend up there on the hill, until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio.